Hey guys, I had a couple people inquire about how exactly these trigger wheels get mounted on the pulley, so I thought it'd be best to make a quick video and talk about the tools that are required and go over the process of how it gets mounted. So I've got everything laid out here. I've actually already drilled and tapped this pulley just for the sake of time here. We'll go ahead and look at the goal. The goal is to drill and tap three 832 holes in the pulley. That's going to align and mount our trigger wheel. The tools that are required are pretty common. I think most of you guys are going to have these in your garage. If not, you should be able to find them pretty easily. You need a couple drills. Start with, you're going to need an 1/8 inch drill. This is going to be used for the initial pilot holes. Next is a number 29 drill, which is a tap drill size for 832 bolt. And then finally, for the drills, is an 11/64, and this will make the through holes in our trigger wheel for those same bolts to pass through. Need a couple taps. These are 832 taps. We've got a standard one to start the threads with, and then a bottoming tap so that we can get the threads all the way into the bottom of the holes. Of course, to use those, you need a tap handle, and then we'll need an electric drill, pliers with side cutters, Sharpie, Allen key. It's a 9/64 for these bolts, and then a couple clamps to hold the trigger wheel while we're drilling the holes. So this is a Euro single groove pulley. This one's made by Professional Products. They call it their Power Force harmonic damper. It's available from Motorsport Auto and other resellers. You should be able to find it for about $90 to $110. I bought this one from Motorsport Auto. A couple things that we're going to be looking at here is the location of this keyway, and then also there's a few timing marks that are machined into the edge here, with the biggest one here being for 0 degrees or top dead center. This is the pulley that's included with the kit. It's laser cut, and you'll notice the center geometry here. This is used to locate and orient the trigger wheel initially, and then we'll actually cut it away for the final installation. And here's what a finished trigger wheel is going to look like. I've got the pulley out in front of me. I've got the keyway pointing away from me, and we're going to take the trigger wheel here, and you'll notice that not only is the orientation important, but we want to make sure that we get the right side against the pulley when we're doing installation. And I have marked each pulley. Hopefully it's clear. I've said this side against pulley, so that'll go down against the pulley while we're doing installation. And then on the opposite side, I've marked one of the teeth edges, and then we're going to use that for orientation. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put this in place here. And you'll notice that there's this is a 36 minus 1 wheel, so there's one tooth missing, and there's roughly one of these spokes lines up with that missing tooth section. So we're going to line that spoke roughly up with this keyway here, so it's pointing straight in front of us. The next thing we want to look at is that edge of the tooth that's been marked with the Sharpie. We want to line that up with the 0 degree timing notch in the pulley. We want the edge of that tooth to line up right with the notch. And when you've got that lined up, that's going to be the orientation of the trigger wheel. It's a good idea to go ahead and mark that with Sharpie. What I've done is I've marked the edge of the spokes on the alignment geometry just so I can keep an eye on it as I drill. Make sure it's not moving. These initial holes in the trigger wheel are 1/8 inch, and they're going to serve to locate our initial pilot holes. So what you're going to want to do is take a clamp and clamp the trigger wheel in place. I'm using these little C-clamps. You can use whatever you've got around the shop. Make sure it hasn't moved on you. You know, double check your marks, make sure everything's still located properly. And what we'll do is let's go ahead and drill the pilot holes through the trigger wheel. And we want these holes to be drilled down a ½ an inch from the trigger wheel face. And you can see what I've done here is I've placed a piece of tape a ½ inch from the tip of the drill. And that just serves as a guide to help me set the depth. So go ahead and drill these holes. You'll do the 2 that are free, and then you'll have to move the clamp around for that 3rd hole. Once those pilot holes are drilled, we can remove the trigger wheel and set it aside. And then we're going to open up each one of these holes to our tap drill size, which with that number 29 drill bit. Once those are opened up, we can proceed with tapping. You want to start the threads with that starting tap or standard tap, and then finish them out with a bottoming tap so that we've threaded all the way to the bottom of the holes. Once that's done, pulley components complete. Go ahead and make sure that those holes are cleaned out. There's no debris in them. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove this alignment geometry. This is easily done with a pair of pliers. You can go around and clip each spoke out and then remove the center section. You can then file, if there's a little sharp edge there, you can file that down and make it nice and smooth. And then we're going to take our 11/64 drill and open up those holes so that we can install the bolts. So the finished product is going to be like I showed you before, just like this. And we can install it. Again, pay attention to the orientation, make sure you've got it in there just how it was when we were marking the holes. When you put these bolts in for the final installation, you're going to want to put some blue Loctite, 242 or similar. And then these are stainless bolts, and then the pulley material is also pretty soft, so we're not going to want to tighten these too much. If you're engineer minded like myself and you want to torque these down with the torque wrench, you can torque them to 10 to 15 inch-pounds. Okay, and that is the final installation. We have now mounted the trigger wheel on our pulley. A quick look at that. The rest of the installation is pretty straightforward. Everything just bolts into place. Appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email to hopeperformance@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook. Either works just as well. If you're in the market for a crank trigger kit for your L-Series, please keep me in mind. And once again, thanks.